In Italian football, success has a very interesting geography. Of the 95 Serie A titles contested since 1929, Northern clubs have claimed an astounding 84 of them. 3 clubs in particular, Juventus, AC Milan, and Inter Milan, have turned Serie A into their own private competition, collectively winning 75% of all championships. But this isn't just a story about football. It's about how Italy's economic and cultural divide shaped one of football's most fascinating power imbalances. First, let's clarify what we mean by North and South. For this discussion, we're drawing the line just below the Emilia-Romagna region. Everything above that is the North. Below that line, we have the South, regions like Campania, which often feel like outliers in the context of football success. Now, with that distinction in mind, let's dive into why the North has historically dominated Serie A. When football was taking root in Italy during the late 1800s, the country was experiencing a dramatic transformation. The North was rapidly industrializing, with Turin and Milan becoming powerhouses of manufacturing and finance. This wasn't just coincidence. It was the foundation of a sporting dynasty. The numbers tell a compelling story. By 1900, the Milan region alone was producing nearly 1/3 of Italy's industrial output. Meanwhile, northern Italy's iron grip on the nation's banking system, controlling over 80% of assets, meant that financial power was concentrated firmly in the region. These economic advantages translated directly into football supremacy. Take Juventus, for instance. Their connection to the Agnelli family, founders of Fiat, provided them with resources other teams could only dream of. When Fiat became Europe's largest automobile manufacturer, Juventus gained the financial muscle to attract top talents like Omar Savori and John Charles in the 1950s, the equivalent of signing Haaland and Mbappe today. The North's economic advantage manifested in concrete ways, quite literally. By the 1930s, Milan had the San Siro, Turin had the Stadio Comunale, now Allianz Stadium, and northern clubs were investing in state-of-the-art training facilities. This infrastructure gap created a stark divide that would shape Italian football for generations to come. By 1980, northern clubs had established a clear dominance in facilities, owning nearly 2/3 of all private training centers in Serie A. Their stadiums dwarfed their southern counterparts, with average capacities exceeding southern venues by nearly 1/3. Perhaps most significantly, northern clubs were investing 3 times as much in youth academies compared to their southern rivals by 1990, creating a pipeline of talent that would sustain their success for decades. This infrastructure advantage created a self-reinforcing cycle. Better facilities attracted better players, which led to more success, generating more revenue for further improvements. The North's industrial base didn't just provide direct investment. It created an ecosystem of corporate support that Southern clubs couldn't match. Today, we see this playing out in dramatic fashion. Juventus' partnership with Jeep, part of the Fiat Group, brings in a staggering 45 million euros annually, more than some Southern clubs' entire revenue. Inter Milan has long benefited from partnerships with northern industrial giants like Pirelli, while AC Milan's commercial revenue routinely triples that of their southern counterparts. When the Champions League expanded in the 1990s, it amplified northern dominance in ways that would reshape Italian football. Already wealthy northern clubs gained access to a new financial wonderland. The benefit went far beyond the prize money. The enhanced global exposure made northern clubs more attractive to sponsors and players alike, while the additional revenue allowed them to strengthen their squads further, creating a virtually unbreakable cycle of success. Napoli's recent triumph offers a masterclass in how southern clubs can compete in this northern-dominated landscape. Their success wasn't just about money, it was about intelligence and patience. The club implemented sophisticated data analytics for player recruitment while maintaining a strict salary structure that kept costs under control. No player earned more than 5 million euros net annually, but the team still managed to build a championship-winning squad. Their recruitment strategy perfectly exemplified this smart approach. The signing of Khvicha Kvaratskhelia for 11.5 million euros, a player now worth more than 10 times that amount, showed how clever scouting could level the playing field. The development of Victor Osimhen into one of Europe's elite strikers and the shrewd replacement of Kalidou Koulibaly with Kim Min-jae demonstrated that Southern clubs could compete through intelligence rather than spending power. Financially, Napoli's approach was equally impressive and invested heavily in youth development and scouting networks. This wasn't just success, it was sustainable success. The landscape is slowly shifting. Modern football's emphasis on smart management over pure spending power offers hope for Southern clubs. Financial fair play regulations have begun to level the playing field, while the growing importance of data-driven recruitment and youth development has made it possible for smaller clubs to compete through intelligence rather than financial might. The rise of clubs like Atalanta, though geographically northern, they operate on a southern-style budget, so small budget, shows how strategic planning and player development can compete with financial power. Their success provides another template for Southern clubs to follow. The North's dominance of Serie A tells us something profound about football. That success on the pitch often reflects broader social and economic realities. But Napoli's triumph reminds us that these patterns aren't destiny. The question isn't whether Southern clubs can compete. Napoli has proven they can. The question is whether others can follow their blueprint of intelligent management, strategic recruitment, and patient development. In a sport increasingly dominated by financial power, perhaps the South's greatest disadvantage has become an advantage. The necessity of being smarter, more creative, and more efficient with resources. As Serie A evolves, we might be witnessing the early stages of a more balanced league. After all, the most interesting stories in football often come from those who find ways to overcome the odds.